Welcome back to I Accidentally Married a Filipina. My name is Rob, but this is not my story. This is a story that two of our subscribers sent in. Let me get on with it. My name is Steve, and I'm a 57-year-old police officer in my last year of service before I retire from the police force in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I was happily married for 20 years. I lost my wife 7 years ago to illness, and I never really recovered from that loss. I don't want to spend too much time on that period of my life because even though it's been 7 years, my heart still aches for her. I buried myself in my work as a police officer, and for 5 straight years, I took every extra overtime that was offered, and I worked myself to death to try and forget my wife. After 5 years, I was exhausted, and one day I just stopped and took a long weekend to examine where I was at. I looked at my bank account, and I was able to squirrel away over $200,000. So I felt enough was enough and went to HR the next Wednesday and looked at my retirement options. The HR clerk told me I would qualify for 80% pension at the end of this year, or stay for another year, and it would be a 100% pension. Not that I cared really, but the young clerk was a very attractive, well-spoken Asian woman. Something made my stomach flip like I just saw my prom date. I had not felt that feeling in many years, so I made up questions to ask her just so I could keep looking at her. This charade kept up until my sergeant walked up behind me and barked at me to quit hitting on his wife. I was startled and embarrassed all at the same time. Then they both burst out laughing at the stunned look on my face, and I told him I'm just getting some retirement information, and he said, "Not too soon, I hope." We talked about it, and he said he wasn't too far behind me and that they were planning to move to Leah's home country of the Philippines to retire on a beach and drink Mai Tais all day. I said, "That sounds fantastic, Sarge." Sarge then proceeded to offer me a second shift for the rest of the week. I told him I had all the overtime I wanted and would be coasting into retirement. Then he said, "Since you're so rich, meet us out at O'Malley's and you're buying." I will confess I hadn't been out in years and I didn't want to go, but I wanted more time to look at his beautiful wife. I'd go home and nap and clean up and head over to O'Malley's and meet Sarge and Leah. I felt flush as I looked at Leah as she had on a modest amount of makeup and dressed in a more form-fitting sundress that accentuated her dark skin tone. We were shown to our table and I collected myself as we settled in for some pasta and a couple of beers. I hadn't felt this normal in years. I don't think I had even laughed hard in the past 5 years. "This was fun," I exclaimed as I picked up the check and shook Sarge's hand and thanked Leah and said, "Hey, can we do this again?" Leah looked at Sarge and said, "Yes, but you must bring a date, Steve." All of the air left the room as a look of horror hit Sarge's face, and he quickly shook his head no at Leah. Leah was confused as Sarge apologized, and I said no problem as I weakly walked to my pickup. Back at work, and Leah found me as I was writing up a report and apologized and said she didn't know. I told her it was in the past and I was okay. She said to make it up to me, her and Sarge would take me out to dinners at O'Malley's, only this time it would be their treat. I accepted, if only because I had learned something the last time. If I don't leave the house, I would probably retire and die in the house within 5 years. I needed to be out in society, and I needed to see people, and I needed to laugh. So we agreed to meet at 7 p.m. Saturday evening, and I even considered taking a date, but I had no idea how to get a date at all, and certainly not in a couple of days. So I Googled it and found a certain local dating app and joined and got a couple of hits. I emailed a woman who appeared from her pictures to be somewhere around the 42 years she advertised in her profile, and she was very attractive, so we exchanged dating site messages for a couple of hours and then on to texting. Things were going well, and she asked if we could meet at Chili's and have a drink Friday evening. Before I answered, I went back to the dating app and downloaded her photos to my computer and enlarged them enough to look for any red flags. She was cute and all looked normal. When we were texting, she seemed a little shy and conservative, which I found attractive. The appointed time came and I went up to the bar and waited for my first date in 20 years to arrive. As I sat there facing the door, I expectantly surveyed every woman that entered the door, and none were her. I really had no patience and was about to leave, and a familiar-looking woman enters. It resembled my date, but only if she were 70 years old. Great, I mumble. She is so shy she sent her mother in here to check me out before she would meet me. Her mother walks directly up to me and introduces herself as my date. And if I look past the 25 years of a rough life, I could see her in there somewhere. In my mind, I am outraged, but in the spirit of, I'm already here, and I need to get out more often, and I can't wait to hear the excuses, I decided to weather the storm just for the pure entertainment value. I introduce myself and offer to buy her a beer. She orders, and then I order the really big mug o' beer to help with the situation. I totally play it straight and listen to her act as if she is 42 and how tough it is out in the dating world. I try not to laugh by taking a big gulp of my beer. Then she says men always want to split the check, and it wasn't that way back in the day. I take another big gulp. She says one guy up and left one time when she used the restroom. I take another big gulp of my beer. Then she proceeded to tell me one man denied he was who she talked to online and said that he was waiting for dinner with his mother, but she knew it was him. Another big gulp of beer, and my glass was empty. I paid the tab, shook her hand, and thanked her for meeting me, and I hightailed it out the door. Saturday rolled around, and I met Leah and Sarge at O'Malley's, and we decided on pizza this trip. Sarge asked me what was new, and I regaled him and Leah with my first and last dating app story from the previous night, and they both laughed until they cried. They laughed so hard it made me start, and I couldn't laugh. I couldn't stop either. Luckily, the pizza arrived and we pulled ourselves together. We all had so much fun recounting our past dating disasters and had a big time. I really did feel normal being around these two. Sarge excused himself to the restroom, and Leah awkwardly asked me if I really was ready to date again. I said I was because I knew I couldn't stand to be lonely one more day, and I was sure it would be different after I retired. She said it would be no different after I retired. She said that if I found Asian women attractive, she could introduce me to her sister. She looks like me. She's 34 years old, long black hair, graduated senior high school, works at a hotel, and never married. She pulls her phone out to show me pictures of her sister, and Sarge walks back to the table and says, "Leah, put your phone up. Steve doesn't want you to pawn your sister off on him." I look at Sarge and say, "Maybe I do, Sarge." Couldn't be any worse than yesterday's date. By the time I get home, Leah sends me a picture of her sister Luzel and her Facebook information and recommends that I friend request her and send her a hello message. So I friend request her as I peruse her Facebook page looking for clues to her true identity. I don't want another Chili's surprise. Luzel is as attractive as her sister Leah. As I read her posts and comments, she seems to be well-spoken and not uneducated. She mostly has photos of her and her family going on vacations around the Philippines and some nights out with work friends. I find the landscapes in the background almost as attractive as I find Luzel. I did not leave a comment because this overseas thing is all too new for me, and I'm not sure I'm truly ready to open my heart up just quite yet. I kind of fall into a pattern of working regular shifts, going home and watching the news, cook supper, and stalk Luzel's social media. Each Saturday I meet Sarge and Leah out at O'Malley's for dinner. I know they are only having pity on me, but I enjoy their company. This particular Saturday, as we are back on another pizza night, Leah asks me how it is going with Luzel. I tell her we are Facebook friends and I have enjoyed looking at her photos and reading her comments. Leah asks why I haven't even so much as liked one of her photos. Did you find my sister ugly? Is she too old or too poor for you? No, I say. I find her and your country very attractive. Leah then asked, well, why don't you send her a message or a comment to show your interest? I had never seen this side of Leah before. She was boldly standing up for her sister, but I didn't know why. Sarge says for Leah to calm down and that I need some small steps first. I say thanks, Sarge, and Leah looks disgusted and pulls out her phone and begins feverishly tapping. She then stands up and walks around to my side of the table and shoves the phone in my face and says, Steve, please say hello to my sister Luzel on this video chat.
My name is Luzel. I am from city of Baguio. My father is Philippines National Police Officer and my mom stay home on the outside of city. I work in big hotel and keep a small room in the basement of hotel where I work. I do good in senior high school and have same job in same hotel for 13 years. I do not have good luck with Filipino man, so I just work many hours to help my mom and dad at home. My eldest sister Leah married a foreign and lives in Oklahoma with her husband. Leah told me to find a foreign, but I feel shy. A Kano named Steve friend requested me and my sister said I should look at him. He is good man with good job at her work. I accept him, but he never makes moves, so I forget him. One time in my morning Leah video call and put me in Steve. I was very embarrassed, but I think Steve is very guapo man and now I hope he contact me.
After dinner, when Leah put Luzel right in my face on video call, I couldn't help but see just how attractive she was. I awkwardly waved and said hello, but this didn't seem like the time or the place, so I thanked Luzel and excused myself. Sarge gave Leah a dirty look and turned to me and said, "You kind of got to at least send a message now, officer." We said our goodbyes, and I went home and sent Luzel a quick message before I went to bed because, after all, she was very pretty. I woke up Sunday and Luzel had left an equally short reply to my quick message, and it made my heart skip a beat. No real reason other than I think my heart is starting to wake up from its frozen slumber. I crafted a better message with some questions in it, and I sent it to her. To my surprise, my computer dinged right away. It was Luzel. She had answered my message. We spent the better part of an hour messaging back and forth, and it seemed easier than I thought it would. After the hour of messages, Luzel had to go to sleep, so I made breakfast and headed out to the Bricktown Riverwalk. Cool place to walk around and enjoy the shops, restaurants, and bars, or even take a boat ride through the man-made river. I thought how cool this would be to stroll hand in hand with Luzel. But baby steps are called for, as I remind myself where my life is right now. I stopped for lunch at the Sonic Drive-In and ordered a burger and tater tots for this American man. I then head back home and watch the Dallas Cowboys play, and after the game it was dinner, and then I make a bold move and video call Luzel. She answers right away, and after some awkward silence we get on a roll, and soon enough Luzel has to get ready for work. That 45 minutes flew by fast. It was much more comfortable than I thought it would be, I thought as I readied myself for bed. I woke up the next morning to a video chat from Luzel. We chatted as I got myself ready for work, and off I went. I stopped by to see Leah, and she congratulated me on finally video chatting her sister. I told her she was a delight, and Leah said Luzel thinks I'm boyfriend material. I say wow, and head to my office thinking, I am flattered, but slow down. Baby steps. It takes me about 35 minutes to head home from work, so I think, what a great way to kill some time chatting with Luzel. She is awake and said she is hoping I would call. It was a smooth call again, as she is probably the most truly sweet woman I have ever talked to. She is calm, sweet, respectful, feminine, and a little shy. All in all, a great combo. This pattern repeats itself every day for a couple of months, and I feel as though Luzel is becoming the best part of my life, albeit from 9,000 miles away.
I have been chatting Steve now almost 3 months every day. He is good man. He is kind man, but he never say he will visit me in Philippines. I feel he is my soulmate. We never bicker or fight. Only kind words. I think he would make good husband. I will continue to chat, but I pray every day he will visit me. Talking to Steve make me hate my lonely life. Only work, eat, sleep and work again. Why should I not have a husband? Why should I not have happy life? I am too old maid now. I do not want to die this way.
I head into work and, as usual, stop in to say hi to Leah. She said I had better look at my leave time I have accrued, as some of it was going to disappear if I didn't use it. I retort, what am I going to do? Sit at home for a month and do nothing but watch soap operas, eat pizza, and drink beer? No thanks. They can just disappear for all I care. Leah looks at me and sternly says, Steve, you can man up and go visit your girlfriend in Baguio instead of just leading her on. Either you make plans to go to Baguio or leave her alone and break her heart. I was stunned, to say the least. I had not even considered visiting Luzel. I was enjoying passing my time just chatting with a happy person. It didn't cross my mind that she wanted me to visit her. This is not a baby step. On my way home, I video chat Luzel as per usual, and she seems a little down and faking being happy. This is way out of character for her, so I ask if she didn't sleep well or something. She says, my sister says you have free sick days and you don't like me enough to visit me. I feel foolish for chatting 3 months and liking you. Then she hung up. She wasn't being mean, but probably was well warranted. I called back, but she didn't answer. I felt terrible. Was I leading her on? Was I being selfish, letting her heal my broken heart without even thinking of her feelings? It is going to be difficult to sleep tonight.
I hate Steve. He walk on my heart like Filipino man. I think he is different, but he same. I feel in love and he just use me as a chatmate. I am too old enough for a chatmate. I am old lady waiting on Steve. Does he think I am not pretty or I am too old? Enough, Steve.
I did not sleep well after finding out I was being so insensitive and selfish, and I had to make that decision. Do I just stop chatting and ruin the best part of my day and possibly break her heart? Or do I commit a ton of money and time to fly 9,000 miles to a foreign country that I know nothing about to meet a girl that I know next to nothing about? This is a lose-lose situation, and I am not looking forward to this decision.